Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 10 of the spoiler season. It's February the 22nd, and we've got a very nice set of spoilers today, plus one extra spoiler to talk about somewhat in the middle of the stream. So, hope everyone is excited for that. I have three fantastic guests on tonight. I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves, talk a little bit about how they got into Netrunner and how they're engaging with it these days. And then I'll also have them say what their favorite card is to put counters on from any period in time. Bemi, could you start by introducing yourself to the stream? Talk a little bit about how you started in Netrunner.
Yeah, hi, I'm Bemi. I'm from Australia. I started playing towards the end of Borealis. My partner introduced me to the game, and we found some people at a game shop playing it. And we started going to meetups and stuff.
That's great.
Favorite card for counters, I'm not sure. Probably I liked Rococo, but it's gone now. So
Rococo. Ooh, that's a fun one. Reconstruction contract. Yeah, honestly, that's a good answer for probably one of my favorites too. That's
it's so
all-timer.
janky.
Yeah, I mean, I played it so much when you could also play Dedication Ceremony, which made it, I will say, significantly less janky. Just made it quite strong, but it was like a 2-card scoring combo. But yeah, Reconstruction Contract is definitely one of the. It's a great counters. Like trying to play it as intended, so to speak, I think is a very fun janky card. Very cool.
So cool.
Well, Groundhog, aka Bill, you're up next.
Thanks, Jeff. My name's Groundhog, also known as Bill. And I got a Netrunner in 2014 and played for a while. That's we're going on 10 years since I made my last cut. And I left after FFG declared the apocalypse, and then I came back after you folks canceled the apocalypse. So yep, pretty much it.
Very neat. What's your
and what's your counters? All right, so can I just say Drago?
I mean, yeah. What'd you love about Drago?
So in, I guess, the virtual green room, we were talking about MPE decks, and there's I gotta say there's a lot you can do with it, and things were very broken where you could just self-growth program somebody's most of their board state back into their hand and all that kind of stuff. But one of the best games of Netrunner I ever played as a runner was at Toronto at Worlds in 22, and I actually managed to beat that R+ Drago deck that was bouncing stuff left and right. So I will never forget that game until I have dementia.
It's when you win uphill battles against NPE, there's almost no feeling as good as that, right? Where you just get to be like, yeah, my opponent was doing this absolutely busted thing, but I just I outthought them, I outplayed them, and I got the W. It's a fun feeling. All right.
Yeah, definitely, and that person remembered me too.
That's great. Fantastic. Well, last but most certainly not least, Ronan Appliance. Could you introduce yourself to the stream? Tell us about your history and your favorite Netrunner card with counters.
Yeah, hi, I'm Trick, aka Rotom Appliance, based in the UK. I also started playing in 2014, just after Honor and Profit, I believe. I played for about 3 years exclusively online, so I didn't even buy any cards until the middle of 2017 when I went to Euros. But I've been playing fairly consistently throughout, not really had any major breaks or anything like that. My favorite card, I'm going to say, with counters is Medium, which for the first few years of me playing was basically the best win condition runners could have, and I think I tried to put it in more or less everything at some point.
And of course, you named one of the cards that I have not working on my lookup table right now, but we'll go and fix that shortly.
Oh, it's just Conduit. It's just slightly better Conduit, but the
Yeah,
conditions
yeah.
were so much better for it then because Ice was rubbish.
Yes. When basically every ice could be broken for 1 credit, it was way better. So, yeah. And I remember loving that card as well. Very nice. All right, well, we've got a pretty packed day of spoilers ahead of us. So we're going to go and start. We're going to go in kind of set order. So we're going to start with the very first card. This one comes courtesy of, and I'm going to try and do a better job of making sure that's explicit. There should also be links in the description video. So this first card comes courtesy of Backroom Deals. If you haven't gone and watched, Backroom Deals has made a bunch of really good shorts. I think they've been a little bit slower on may have discovered that in-person play was a little bit trickier for them to do consistently, but they've done some really good and I thought quite clever shorts, so it's good to see them in the community. And they did a really nice one for this card. So this first card up is Borrowed Goods. It is a 0-cost hardware chip out of Criminal. It's 1 influence. It gives +1 MU. It says, when you install this hardware, if you are not tagged, take 1 tag. And the flavor text, nice job, kid. Now lose the tail. And it's a bunch of the art, a nice little display window of a couple of fancy looking chips with a window broken out and 1 grabbed right away. Anyone have some initial thoughts on this card, or should I call on someone in particular?
I have no idea how this card will be played. I think it might be some kind of big rig crim, could be a thing, maybe with triple Chesva.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is what deck wants this. I think is a very interesting question. And yeah, triple Chesva is definitely a nice potential nice thing.
Yeah, I think this is maybe an okay way of getting some more MU if you really want it in your Crim deck. You can play it in Vic and clear the tag for cheaper, or if you're already tagged, then it's effectively just a 0-cost mem chip, so you can play Transfer of Wealth and then install it and then clear the tag potentially. So I think it's not that terrible in that sense, but I feel like for most of the previous, even the last few metas, we haven't really seen many Crim decks want that extra MU much. I feel like they have just a lot of good cards that compete for slots, and it's really difficult to want to spend deck slots on MU. You can add a chess phase. I think having more chess phase is nice, but I don't know if it's gonna outweigh the fact that you could just play another good econ card instead. So we tend to agree that this is not going to see loads of play.
I think that's probably true.
Seb ever wants to play this.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying I wonder if Seb ever wants to play this maybe for the mem instead of a console, but I can see it with the imp.
Yeah,
Sebastian. It's only 1 if, I guess.
Yeah, 1 if this definitely could I think find a home in Seb. I guess to me I'm it's probably true that criminals have not been dying for memory, but there's been so many times where I've been oh, just add a compilation into your Crim deck, it'll be so much good, and then I always hear the answer of but we don't have the MU for it, and it's okay, maybe that's a consideration, but I feel you probably do need an actual permanent 6 MU need for criminal to make this one particularly enticing. But there's still cards left in the set. Maybe that happens, or maybe this is just a setup for down the road. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
So I kind of feel seen by this card because I love Baz. When I run, and so, all right, picture it. Turn 1, and I draw the nuts. I got a boomerang. I got a transfer wealth. I got this, and I got that the new card, the one that can remove a tag if ice has been rezzed, and I
yeah
transfer first thing right off the bat. transfer. They res the ice, crack it with boomerang, get a tag, then I can drop this on. After that, I still only have one. Then that card will clear that tag, and like this is basically my new console for Baz.
Okay, that's neat. And yeah, someone in the chat shouting out like, "Hey, you know, one of the things it's like Saucy is a neat little engine, but like it is very MU constrained and criminal. Maybe this lets you go full on Baz D-Res, and as part of that whole package, I'd be a little surprised if the answer to that package is even more cards, but sometimes you know when you see those like 50, 60 card shaper decks, you go, oh, I guess it was more cards. We'll see. uh, but
I guess I feel like Crim's previously had the option to play, forget what it's called exactly, the T1000 memory diamond thing, and potentially even would have benefited from higher hand size against, you know, Ayuko and maybe one or two other matchups. I think have usually passed it up because it isn't worth a slot. So the question is whether potentially installing this for 0 makes all the difference. I suspect the answer's no, but it wouldn't completely shock me if I saw it in a few Crim decks.
yeah, it seems like a fun card to explore, and like maybe at some point it will become more of a part of the piece of the puzzle. Not really sure.
I'm terrible at managing my credits as a runner, so this is perfect. Literally, it's perfect.
Yeah, hard to beat 0 for sure. I also do want to shout, like I think it's hard to make chips and stuff look good, but I do actually think the art on this is pretty. I don't know. It's like sharp and interesting, without being like
Really
overly
cool.
distracting or over the top. Yeah, very nice. All right, well, our next card, just in set order, comes courtesy of the Eternal Super League. People haven't watched that, and they like my channel in general. They should definitely check out the Eternal Super League. It is a wild time over there, and hopefully the format gets a little more interesting after the release of the newest ban list. But we have Rotary. This is another criminal card. It is a 3-cost unique hardware console. It gives +1 on you. Whenever you breach HQ or R&D, you may take 1 tag to access 1 additional card. Click 2 credits, trash this hardware. Only the corp can use this ability, and only if the rudder is tagged. Limit 1 console per player, and this is 3 influence.
For the first 9 years of my life, I actually used rotary phones to make calls. So I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this this card.
What do you mean? Like that this is send back to ancient technology is making you feel a little old?
Yeah, I turned 50 in August. So I remember like those phones, and I remember, oh, I slipped like dialing, gotta hang up, do it all over again. And you know that was like nine years of my life. I'm like 9-year-old, and I'm just using rotary phones. That was like how I made calls. But
Oh
I do
boy.
like the art, and I mean I know there's easy references for that stuff, but it looks pretty. It looks it really takes me back. You know, ours were like, you know, peach colored but not black, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a little more PI noir esque. Let's make a, and I like the like little window slats in the back too. Really bringing back the all the tropes of noir, right? It's a fun little shout out there.
The art's really cool. I really like all the Crim themes of the set, like all the noir throwbacks. It's really like stylized. I like it.
Yeah, it's a really fun style, and it's nice to have a little bit of a, I don't know, like a grungier kind of perspective that's like just built into the noir aesthetic. So I don't know what are we, and actually, yeah, I want to shout out Martin doing another good piece of work here. What do we feel about the card on the whole as a game piece, I guess, as well?
If I have them tagged, I'm gonna try and kill them. I'm not gonna break their phone. I mean, it is nice because you don't have to pack a retribution, but I mean, the effect actually seems decent as well. It's like an extra card. You get that tag. I mean, this is definitely Vix, right? I mean, it's Vic holding the virtual phone. But it's not. It's I don't know how much play it sees outside of him, unless you folks like reprinted, counter surveillance.
Yeah, I feel like you'd almost more a Mars for the Martians or something like that too. But yeah, I should probably pull those cards up because, boy, those cards basically have never been legal. Counter surveillance let you access cards for every tag you had, and Mars for the Martian for the Martians. That didn't actually work. Oh, I think I must have mistyped something. Okay, Mars for Martians gave you credits for every tag you had, so it was just absolutely silly. Noobs and Nerds asking, is it worth it with Manuel? I think the answer could be maybe, but there's a really, I'm going to call it unfortunate timing problem with Manuel and Rotary. Rotary says whenever you breach, you may take a tag to access one additional card. Manuel says whenever you breach while you are tagged, access an additional card. So it doesn't see that Rotary is about to give you a tag when deciding whether or not to give you that extra card. And so you have to already have a tag and then decide to use Rotary and Manuel together. Maybe there's another idea where like you run HQ and then you take the tag from Rotary, C2 there, then you run R&D and don't take a tag from Rotary and C2 there, but that's kind of not very good. So now your alternative is taking a tag from Rotary, then running that server again or running the other server and taking a second tag to see 3 cards. Which feels like a bummer, and boy, it's funny because I'm like, I don't know if this would work, but I'm like, oh, if you just put a comma after whenever you breach HQ or R&D, if you are tagged, access one additional card, would fix Manuel for the same trigger. But yeah, unfortunately, these are a little bit less combo-y than they might appear, which is a real bummer. But I think something that this does, it does still allow you to work with something like Iru, which is nice, or Beatriz, because those both let you access it. They still will count, like those both look at the breach step, and that's where Rotary fires. So there's some options still.
It's an interesting card, isn't it? It's like it's clearly intended for Vic. I suppose the shame with using with using Eru is just that you're again going to have 2 tags, so you're not going to be able to clear on the cheap as much as you would like. But it is an interesting role compression. Like having your multi-access on your console is not something Crims have really been able to do. It's not something they've done at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it might save you from having to spend deck slots or influence on a multi-access engine. I mean, as usual, there's kind of, Hermes kind of hangs over everything, doesn't it? Any console, it's kind of immediately compared to Hermes. It has to pass the Hermes test, and it's very, very stiff competition. But I do like that it does something completely different. Like it has at least a clear niche. Like people are going to try this in Vic for sure. It's just a shame about the Manuel thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Manuel thing does feel unfortunate. It does seem like, it is true that it's like this is doing something a console has never done before. And then on its own, I think it's like worthwhile to explore, which is kind of interesting. I also, Drop Bear's comment I want to call out. I'm a little surprised this isn't just a resource, because then you could actually remove that whole second line of text from it, or that second paragraph. But it would still, I think, work with all the other rules for consoles. And I don't know what other interactions that would matter, like if that would actually disrupt any other interactions that I can think of. But hardware being consoles is probably just more thematically consistent within the universe. It's just, I think, tickles me as like as kind of a rules game pieces person that is actually just the text for resources.
Does Seb ever play this, do we think? Obviously, it's quite a lot of influence, so you'd probably be dropping transfer.
Yeah, I mean, dropping transfer feels like a big downside. Oops, that's the wrong thing. But I guess maybe this. What could you? Oh, so no, because you still won't get Manuel in. Like, there's not like Seb wouldn't get Manuel to suddenly see the timing. Maybe still getting the friend of a friend down is fine. So like you still,
That's
yeah,
probably
like
not quite
yeah.
enough.
Yeah, it's like maybe if your Seb deck if you're struggling to feel like your Seb is firing as much as you want, this is a way to fire every turn. And people shouting out like, "Oh, maybe you can use privileged access to when the corp spends," because like, oh, I think there's a side of this where it's like, oh, if the corp doesn't actually trash it, like the console does become a little bit better. And so maybe there's privilege access threats make it so that it's less enticing for the corp to go and trash. So I don't know, that could be interesting.
It's cool that there's at least some kind of payoff for taking tags. Like if you don't have any other cards, at least you've got your console.
Yeah,
So
no,
you've
for
kind
sure.
of always got some kind of like base level multi-access in Vic.
Yeah, and Vic being able to just go, yep, I'm gonna access, and then I get to access the additional card, and then draw a card clearing the tag. Like, you've got some decent pieces there to make at the very least, like a very different style of criminal deck. Yeah, even if it's maybe not clear that it's going to be better than like reg stuff Hermes, but different is a good thing to have in Netrunner, right? We've had a year plus of kind of good stuff Netrunner, and allowing people to be more expressive and build unique things, I think is really nice to have.
It's nice to have a crim card that just lets you like touch cards. I think
Yeah.
it might not be as good as like twinning or something, but at least you get to access cards.
Yeah, maybe Tag
Sometimes it's pretty
Zaya
good.
can make a return, right? You install Rotary and you start making more credits right away. Chat saying, oh, if you can get this down plus either Docklands or Pretty Mary, you can then charge your Amelia quickly. So you make this some like super denial deck. Could be a funny. It's feels a little bit fragile, but maybe that's the Vippy plan. Is like you just build this little engine and you just C3 cards and then clear the tag. C3 cards, clear the tag. C3 cards, nuke the corp's whole credit pool, and then say, maybe I don't need to clear this tag anymore. Could be interesting.
We're gonna have to throw that together. And the other thing too, I saw that comment, and I think it's a good point, but about you've got Docklands in and Wake, and they're in faction, right? But if you're really hard pressed for slots, you could just include like 2-3 of these instead of like 1 or 2 Dockland or 1 or 2 Wake or whatever. And now you've got your console, you got some multi-access all wrapped into one, so you can throw in, whatever nonsense you're gonna put in.
Yeah. I mean, hey, more nonsense is good. Speaking of more nonsense, let's go on to the Shaper card. I think this comes to us courtesy of Man the Moon's Showdown tournament, so people check that out. Those have been a lot of fun. They've been getting bigger and bigger every year, so definitely recommend checking them out. And this is beta build. This is a 3-cost Shaper run event, and it says search your stack for one non-virus program, install it, ignoring all costs, run any server. When that run ends, if this program has not been uninstalled, add it to the top of your stack. Flavor text: I don't need a forever answer. I need a now answer, and it's 3 influence. And it's got Dow doing some hacking with a Yogg looking kind of device, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it's meant to be Yogg or something else, but it gives me a lot of Yogg vibes. Who's got some first thoughts here? Maybe Bemi, we'll start with you.
I love the art for this. It's really good. I think it's meant to be Netspace Tower. I think it's like Netspace Avatar, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's a good shout. This is the Netspace from the Netspace side of the Gateway Runners.
Like the alt runner IDs, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I don't know what you'd use it for. Because you kind of need to know what you're running into to know what program to pull, I guess. It's like test run, maybe.
Yeah, it's for those people that maybe don't know test run, I'll pull that up. This is the NSG reprint of it, but it was a card called that had the word run in it, but was not a run event. In one of the oddest choices of text, but it said search your stack or heap, which is an important difference. Install the program during all costs, and when your turn ends, if that program has not been uninstalled, add it to the top of your stack. So it's similar-ish, but different in a couple of ways.
I guess my first reaction is that it looks relatively weak, but I'm also not the most creative deck builder, and I think this feels like you got to be doing something a bit different with it in order to make it work. So I think Knick-Knack comes to mind to try and, tutor up an expensive program and then immediately sell it to Knick-Knack when you make your run, or maybe Coalescence. Although I think we determined that you can't get the money off Coalescence, can you, before to sell it to Knick-Knack? Is that right?
Yeah, so you can't play beta build, get Coalescence, sell the Coalescence to Knick-Knack, and take the credits off of it in the same run.
No.
So, because there's no, this is the search, install, and then run, and so that's gets the start. But yeah, the chat is shouting out, we can become whalers on the moon, we use beta build, we put Orca into play, we start the run, and then we turn it into soup with Knick-Knack. And so we turn our 3 credit run event into a plus 7 credit run event, which, that's almost stim hack levels of value, right? Which was one of the strongest cards of all time for Shaper. So maybe that could be a real home for this card potentially. And this is it's like a 2-card, a 2-card plus a card in the deck combo to get a stim hack level of value. But maybe that's still good enough for Shaper. And yeah, Lobosome is also, we had Kit Lobosome Orca with Spark of Inspiration, and there is also that idea of I could play beta build and Spark of Inspiration, get my Orca out for a run, and then spark it into play, so I spend 2 clicks and 6 credits, but I also get a run in there, so maybe that's good. But that could be interesting. I also see people calling out a Concerto, because now you get to put this big program on your deck and double dip on large credit totals.
Oh, I'm loving the ideas, chat. Thank you.
It's that sort of card, though, isn't it? You can't just play it for straight up for value. You've got to be doing something unusual with it.
Yeah, I think so. And I could imagine a world where you try and play this card fairly, but it feels tough. Feels tough to use pay 3 credits to make a run. You really have to get something out of it. And people Compile saw play and had pretty similar text to this. Actually putting it on the bottom of the stack. Again, also recurring from the heap, I think was an important part of Compile. But it's not that different. So maybe there's a world where beta build sees some real play. Maybe without knickknack. I don't know. Could be interesting. I guess
one difference is like compile lets you see the ice and then fetch something,
yeah.
whereas this you have to get it straight away. So if you're using it as a sort of inside job type thing, compile sometimes was that gives it a niche over this.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Was it Arquail? I do think calling out something that's interesting here, which is if you get a Muse and then put a Trojan on the ice or on an ice, then the Muse goes back on you at the top, so you can use it. You can use Muse specifically for Trojans to kind of act as an additional simul chip here. And I think actually the way that works is you can also do the knickknack stuff here if you want to. So.
Yeah. I need a bigger notepad. This is beautiful. I already know what deck I'm throwing that in.
It's also like, hey, maybe in like a couple years when like self-modifying code goes away, like this isn't actually that different from just being a self-modifying code. If you squint, right, instead of spending a click to install self-modifying code, I'm going to spend that as a credit to make a beta build run. Admittedly, I don't get the program. I don't get to do it at instant speed in response to the ice res. So not exactly an SMC, but it's not like so far away. I don't know. Maybe it could happen. I suspect that one day, an odd radish, the SMC will in fact not be part of Netrunner, but maybe I'll be wrong. You never know. All right. Any other thoughts on these cards before we move on to our next piece of Shaper cardboard? All right, so this one.
Good. I think other people will discover the good uses of this, and then I'll copy it if it's really good, or not. Otherwise, just ignore it.
Yeah. I think there'll be some busted use that we didn't see, and then we'll be like, oh, why didn't we see that?
Yeah. It's I suspect someone was like, oh, you'll need to play Scrounge to like recycle your one Orca. And I'm like, this is probably a strategy where you play 3 Orcas, right? Because you want to be able to play this every time. Though maybe Scrounge lets you put the Orca on the bottom of your heap and then you install something else like a Coalescence. But all right,
it's above my pay grade.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. This card comes courtesy of Sokka, if I'm remembering correctly. I should have had this on my fingertips. Yeah, this comes from Sokka. Sokka put out a nice video with this, and the card we'll talk about a little bit later. This is Touchstone. It is a 2-cost hardware stealth. Which is always a fun subtype. It's unique, and it says the first time each turn you play an event, place 1 credit on this hardware. You can spend hosted credits during runs. The flavor text is, you know who I am, and it is 2 influence out of Shaper. Yeah.
I think this seems really strong. It depends how good the rest of the stealth package is, but I think this seems really strong. Maybe even like play more without stealth. Like if you really need the money.
So it's Penny Shaver for stealth.
But it doesn't take up a console
quite
slot.
like it.
So you can play a console like Anacam along with it instead of Penny Shaver. Penny Shaver's a little bit different. It's only like Penny Shaver if you run once per turn, right? Touchstone is limited to once per turn. Penny Shaver, in theory, you could get 4 or it used to be 5 credits off of it if you were dedicated. So
my first reaction was that I really liked this, and then some people started comparing it to prepaid voice pad and saying it's not really that much better, and prepaid voice pad wasn't unique. And that dampened my enthusiasm for it a little bit, although it's worth noting this can benefit from 0-cost events like Ritual, which prepaid couldn't. And then, yeah, like crucially, the stealth aspect is going to be interesting. We're going to have to see whether there's enough of a payoff, or whether it's tempting to play stealth breakers in your rig. But I could see this as a decent little value piece that you just put in your Anikam deck, just like stacking lots of value from playing events, and then you can use this to break ice, you can use it to go after assets. So it's fairly versatile. So yeah, I don't think it goes in every shaper deck, but I think if you're playing a decent number of events, you could absolutely consider this.
Yeah, I do think like the fact that you can play Anacam and Touchstone, so that every time, the first time each turn you play an event, you draw a card and gain a credit. Like that is actually a pretty decent value engine. And then yeah, if you get value out of the stealth keyword there, that probably starts to look more and more playable. I think it will just depend. Like, do we get more stealth? Do we get more stealth payoffs with this set? But that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I think people have also
triggers the new Shaper ID, I guess.
That's true too. It does trigger the new Shaper ID, and actually, yeah. Oh, and my Mystic didn't work. Cool. Good job, Jeff. You really coded this one well. But yeah, it is also a little bit Mystic, maybe like in that it drips you a credit return for playing events, and there's a lot of Shaper decks that would splash a Mystic pretty frequently. So definitely could see this go in some places. Very nice. Any other thoughts
We
on...
think this ever... I was going to just ask, do we think it ever goes in Crim, who have After Image in-house and generally spam quite a lot of good events?
Yeah, I mean, Crim does seem like a good home. They probably need more than just After Image would be my guess. And it also has the awkward thing of like, if I'm playing After Image, how many touchstones do I want to play? Because it's like, I need probably at least 2 to find them in time, maybe even 3, and there's not a way for me to tutor it. So I need something else. I'm trying to... Oh, I guess you have a Penumbral Toolkit to tide you over as well. A card that I frequently forget ever existed.
Likewise, yeah. I only really remembered when I had it played against me in Pub Runner for many weeks in a row. But I met a mate playing Stealth Baz, which caused me to take Ansel out of Leo, actually. But yeah, it's maybe a slightly speculative build, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was tried, just because I think Crim has so many good events they are really happy to play.
Could be playable in mostly hard. I had a friend that played.
Oh, that's a good shout too.
In like every Crim deck, like Ken deck, and it seemed to work okay. And this is just like upside if you run stealth stuff. So
yeah, so you play Moosely Hot with like an After Image and like a Revolver, and then you play 1 or 2 touchstones, and then you'll just start making a credit and drawing a card all the time. That's actually a pretty neat idea.
yeah, I think even at like worst, it's pretty playable. Like you wouldn't be sad to include it in every deck, but maybe not.
I'm importing this into Anarch.
just for our pirate shipping.
Pirate shipping, right? Because doesn't pirate ship work with crew?
Yes, it does.
For barriers.
Yep, I can't pull it up right now, but yes, Corsair is a 1 stealth credit to lower the strength of a barrier by 3.
And then isn't there the Freedom Kamalo, like similar, what was it, program?
Yeah, the Lampides.
So, and that required stealth. So
yeah,
so I spend stealth credits, I get a real buck back for ruining the corpse day. I mean that's where I would look at it, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Can you turn Lou into Freedom with Lampides? And then the biggest problem then is like, how many events are you playing in that deck to actually charge up the touchstone? But I'm sure events is a good card type typically, so I'm sure you can find some that you want. Raindrops Cut Stone obviously will go in there a lot of times. Like, you'll find things. Pirate crew deck. Oh yeah, that's a good joke too. Well, someone now can claim pirate crew and come up with some slightly better pun than that and get deck of the week in sometime in the next month or so. Very neat. All right, well, Rhoda mentioned Ansel 2.0, and I almost stole on that to go and segue into our next card, but people had other good things to say, so I'm instead going to do a callback to set up that segue. And Patrick, do you just want to read the text on this card?
You want me to read Ansel too? Oh, there he is. Yeah, sure. So it's a little bit small here. Let's just make it bigger.
Just,
yeah. So
I mean, you can also just
2,
open up the copy that you sent me so that you don't have to squint.
Yeah, I could. That would be the really obvious thing to do, wouldn't it? Ansel 2 is an 8 to res 2.0 Bioroid, a 5 strength, has about 1 million types, Sentry, Bioroid, Destroyer, and has the typical 2.0 Bioroid text, which is the runner can lose 2 clicks to break up to 2 subroutines on the ice. And we've got 4 subroutines. Trash 1 installed runner card, remove 1 card in the heap from the game. You may install 1 card from HQ or archives and end the run. So kind of a couple of the subs are the same. The end the run is like a souped up version of Ansel 1. And then we've got this completely new remove something from the game sub, which I've never seen before. And never seen a sub like it before, I should add.
Yeah, I like Macrophage probably had the closest, right? Which had remove a virus from the game on a trace, if I'm remembering correctly. But I can't think of any other that had a remove from game on an ice effect, which could be interesting. Yeah, I mean,
it's a little bit of a tech sub, I suppose.
Yeah,
like it's not going to do anything against Crim, but against Shaper, it's likely to be at least a bit annoying. And then Anarch, it's like they're playing Ashen Epilogue, then they're going to have stuff in the bin that they care about. So depends a little bit on the meta and what faction you're playing against.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I will say, like there's a decent number of times where I've like hit an Ansel 1.0 on my third click and be like, okay, well at least my rig's not going to get blown up or something. And 2.0s do have that extra bit of value. Now, like it's probably pretty obvious which 2 you're going to break, but as I say that, I'm like, well, I could see situations where you sometimes let them trash a card and install a card, or like install a card and like you have some choices, but yeah, no, this is an interesting card. So, Bemby and Groundhog, any thoughts?
I think it's really cool. I like the double click text. I think that's always really interesting. Yeah, I think normally you'd break the end the run in the trash, but sometimes you might just end the run and stop the install. Or... Really interesting. It's cool.
Rotem, if I see you in a lobby in JNet as Corp, I'm not fucking joining. I'm not. I can go lose to somebody else, okay? Because this card would ruin me. And it's Jeff's fault because he played that Ari deck at Cascadia, and then I got obsessed with it. So like, yeah, I'm gonna get bodied by this card because it's gonna rip out all the stuff I care about out of the heap. Because you don't really want to, like, you gotta break. You break 2. You run first, second click, doesn't matter. You gotta break that trash at the top, and you gotta remove the game, and then you just go over and like cry in the corner. I don't know. I think it's really good. I think when I'm playing HB, I'm gonna be 2 Porter Resit, so I better score send a message. Thankfully I managed my budget in real life a lot better. But it looks good. It's definitely powerful. I like it. It does harken me back to some of the 201, so I definitely like that as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
this is
it's good. It's definitely it's chonky, right? Eight is no joke.
Yeah, it is definitely expensive for the corp. I think it's the first NSG 2.0 Biroid. So good job on that one, Rotom, I guess.
Thank you. It's definitely a fun target to cheat into play if you can send a message or you get lucky on your ADT.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
pretty
Oh, that's
happy
true.
to put it in free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does feel like a card you probably want to cheat more than res, but there are probably some situations where it's a big blowout to res this and fire. So, and I will say I like the art on this one more than the original 1.0. But yeah, both solid cards. So
Sorry, I'm turning my head to the left to see it, and so is this Rotom knife hands? Like, is that what we're doing? That
Yeah,
that
it's
looks pretty
basically
brutal. I
me.
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just looks like me in
I
real
don't.
life.
I'm not. If I'm walking my dog and I see that, I turn around. Just turn around.
Yeah, you
Go
don't
home.
invite this guy to dinner.
yeah, original Ansel 1.0 also had knife hands, so they were not like these ones seem like they go almost down to the elbow, whereas the original ones sort of seem to start at the wrist. So I guess that's what's happening is you're getting more and more bigger and bigger knives as you now they're properly swords rather than just knives on Ansel 1.0's hands.
Yeah, I bet that
I'm
guy
gonna
makes a
try.
killing cutting grass.
I'm gonna try really hard to design an Ansel 3. It might be a bit difficult.
And I have one more subroutine and then bigger knife hand.
Yeah, yeah, and it has to be 10 cost just to keep the trend going. And somehow, I feel like 6 strength can't be is too low, but we'll see. I will say, if you want to win the cosplay contest at Worlds, you probably have one of the easiest costumes to hit of anyone. So I expect to see you at Worlds playing in the cosplay contest this year. And you will get a game
No
loss
problem.
if that does not happen. So
Noted.
all right, well, we have one more card, and it is, believe it or not, another World Champ card. So let's go. Sokka spoiled this card earlier today, and people should go check out the video that I've linked below. But we have another Champ Ice even to talk about. We have Knowledge Seeker. It is a Jinteki Code Gate, 5 strength, 5 to res, and 5 strength. So you don't usually get ice that are like that solid, and it also has 3 subroutines. However, it also has some text. Whenever an encounter with this ice ends, if it has 3 or more hosted virus counters, purge virus counters and de-res this ice. Then it has 3 subroutines. Place 1 virus counter on this ice. Look at the top 4 cards of R&D and arrange them in any order, and then end the run. And then designed by 2021 Asia Pacific champion William Sokka Huang. So this is one of... We've got this. We have... oh my goodness, key performance indicators. And I think Sokka still has one more card in the can because he just won everything for a while. So we've got at least another one to go. But this is a very interesting champ card on its own. So who's got some initial thoughts on this one?
This might be the hardest one to evaluate for me. I think it's quite a complex card. There's a fair bit going on. The numbers are pretty good straight up, like a 5 strength, 5 cost code gate with 2 relevant subs, shall we say, is reasonably taxing. It's doing decently against the most common rigs at the moment. And I think look at the top 4 cards of R&D and arrange them is an interesting, quite a skill taxing sub for the corp to use. It's got the end the run, which is obviously great. And a lot of it's going to come down to just how often are we having to de-res this, and how useful can you make the purge in that case, which sort of depends what runner you're up against. Presumably you want this kind of on the inside of quite a taxing server, so that the runner isn't going to encounter it that many times over the course of the game. And you've got some little synergies like Fly Swatter or Mavirus. If you're playing those, they're fairly easy to put into decks that might just, avoid having to pay 5 to res this thing again. So I don't know. I would think it's at least worth trying in your mid-range sort of scoring Jinteki decks. I probably would start off with 2 and then see where it goes from there. But I'm honestly not sure. It's pretty hard to evaluate. I guess Jinteki is kind of lacking that sort of mid-range taxing ice. They have some small stuff and then quite a lot of large ice, but this sort of fits in nicely into the middle. So I'm kind of excited to see, where this goes and what sort of play it gets.
Yeah, I think this card's really, really sick. I like cards that care about ice placement. I think it's one of the most fun parts about playing Glacier decks. And I think ice placement with this is huge. Because if you just put an R&D, they just run into it over and over, and then you're down 5 credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really cool. It's
Yeah,
got the purge synergy as well, so you can when it gets to 3, you can Mavirus or something that's infection.
Oh, yeah, I guess there is a window where... Oh, no, I don't think there is a window where after it places the virus counter, but you can, if the runner's oh, I'm just going to faceplant into this, and they spend, 2 clicks, on the 3rd click, you can res them a virus before the subroutines fire, purge, and then they've kind of wasted their whole turn. So you can't let it quite get to 3, but you can purge right before it would get to 3, so it's kind of the same thing. I guess it ends up with 1, which is a little bit different. I think another kind of interesting thing is if you have 2 of these res, they don't get to de-res both of them because it will reset the other. So I guess, you're not super punished for having multiple of these up and resed. I'm just trying to think, it's okay, how do we handle Knowledge Seeker efficiently? And it's the answer is probably Unity. But that's still, for a single res, waiting till you have this will still cost Unity 4 credits to break, which seems like an exchange you're fairly happy with, and that's once Unity has all of its programs down. So could be interesting. Kronos calling out business as usual has a interaction with this, which is I always forget it has that text to remove some virus counters. So now you can business as usual your Knowledge Seeker and do some other shenanigans if you're very, very deep.
Yeah, I think business will be a good card for this, but it reminds me of that stupid Wayland Ice envelopment. And I always call it that because I freaking every time I run into it, I just bounce off it. But it's real similar. I don't know. That's the first thing I thought of, and I guess maybe the numbers are the same, and I am simple and just keyed off of that. But I don't know how many. It's honestly, I have to say the first thing is, I assume that's a dog holding a microphone or a scroll or something.
Yeah, it looks. I would call it a cat. It seems like a cat, more cat-like than dog-like to me. But yeah, as you think a scroll in its mouth.
Maybe or a fox.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm team cat, fox, and dog, so I'm good with all that. But but the design of it is really good. It's just there's a lot of nuance that goes on with this particular thing. It's not I don't know, Mask, Maskarovska is, it's pretty straightforward, right? You play it, it's there, they do whatever, they break it, and it's done. This is introducing a lot of different interactions and things. What if you sake this, right? Then you there's a bunch of different things that are going on there. And then obviously it's a Jinteki card because we like reordering crap out of Jinteki, but I don't have to pay extra influence for a virus. And, later I shove a fly swatter outside of it, or you've got business as usual. I mean, you have a lot of ways that you don't have to like burn your whole turn. Miss you, Cyberdeck Sandbox. But a lot of these different ways that you can just clear it off if you need it. But I don't think it's like it doesn't feel like a forever ice, but I think that's the point. But it's so inefficient to break. Like you're saying Unity, you're like you need a bunch of stuff out, and you do. I mean, hopefully I can illuminate, use illumination and run and put out enough stuff to be able to get through this cheaply. But otherwise, it's expensive. So definitely, it's definitely a cool card and one I look forward to resing and de-resing in the future.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I use Unity to, maybe I face check this once and I'll use Unity to break it twice. Also spent 8 credits to de-res a 5-cost code gate. So like maybe that's actually okay as the corp. That could definitely be interesting. And yeah, other people shouting out like, oh, if you put a tattoo bola in front of the knowledge seeker, like the runner's probably just never going at that server, right? Like the corp's making so much money and you've spent 2 ice and you're just in a pretty happy spot. Yeah, and yeah, actually,
I guess
also
Boomerang is.
Yeah, Boomerang is definitely a bit of a
Boom-
weakness for the card, for sure.
Yeah, because you still get the virus and then you just break it.
Yeah. It is also like the purge. Like if you're playing against an Anarch player or something that's playing a lot of viruses, like it's actually not the worst to get a free purge in that matchup sometimes, even if it costs you your ice. Could be interesting. So, I think Sokka did a good job. I mean, it's fitting how it interacts with Boomerang. Also, like there's a lot of, it feels like Avatar links between these things. So it could be interesting. I'll get some sandstones in there. That's a good shout too. Reset your sandstones for free. Just make it annoying to interact with on all levels. I know this is a very interesting card, and without like, it's got arguably a lot of text, but it does still feel closer to the card does one thing than some other champ cards have done in the past, which is nice. But yeah, I think a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, it's also a hard end around code gate Jinteki as well, because I think at the moment you have to infin MIC to get it.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think what other
kind of freeze of him. So it's going to be. I think you'll definitely see this played.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like,
and if you put it on R&D, you may as well in the run. They're just gonna jack out, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, because it's like, if the corp's getting to a range of the top 4, like, what's the point? You're not accessing anyway. All right. Well, I think that's the end of the spoilers for today. Tomorrow we have the French network community, Vicetron, and Ba Ran Wu all dropping some cards. So it should be a pretty busy day. So people can look forward to that. And then we've got Metropol Grid and Gordian Blade. And then several more days of stuff. But today I thought was a really good day. Thanks again, Patrick, for coming on and spoiling an extra card for me. Always appreciate the extra viewers. Hope everyone has had a good time. And thank you to all my guests. This has been a ton of fun and a great time. So thank you, everyone, again.
Thank you. Good fun.
And with that, have a good night, everyone. If you're in the U.S., enjoy the blizzard on the East Coast, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.